Yeah. Oh, now we're live.
Okay, now.
So welcome to the Women's Championship Committee meeting. I'm very proud to introduce to you. So welcome to the Women's Championship Committee meeting. I'm very proud to introduce to you. We have right here Sonia, Jill Diamond, Mr. Kevin. I'm very proud to introduce you.
Hello, everyone.
And we're waiting for some other committee members who hopefully show up if they can get on. But yeah, well, we can start right away. I got a short presentation that I want to share with you on where women's boxing stands right now. And then we could go through all divisions and just discuss some of the mandatories that we have to order and go through our action plan. Want to keep this rather short, but if there's, of course, any questions, if there's anybody out there who wants to know something, if we can answer questions, that's what we're here for. We're very transparent, so we have nothing to hide in this committee. So let me share my screen, and I can show you exactly where we stand. So this is our committee report for the 58th annual convention. There you see our champions. We're very proud of them. We basically only have one division in which the world championship is vacant. That's the heavyweight division. Other than that, you see our world title holders. We have some interim titles. We go through that later. And on the right side might be quite small, but we go through this in later stage 2, silver and international champions. We have a total of 36 champions, world, interim, silver and international that recognized, and they come from 16 different countries, which shows you that we really are the world and the World Boxing Council. What have we done in the past years? We established the WBC Women's Convention. We held 3 of those women's conventions, which were major successes. You see some of the pictures here. We had 2 of them in Mexico, in Cancun, in Tijuana, and then the last one was beautiful in Manila in the Philippines. Actually, we do those biannually, and we're scheduled to have one in 2020. Unfortunately, Corona came and the pandemic stopped us, but we will not let the pandemic stop us, and we'll find a way to hold the next women's convention. We're working on that right now. Other things that we have recently established, we're very proud that we established the Clean Boxing Program for women. It was actually something that the fighters themselves were demanding at the convention. Once the Clean Boxing Program was established for men, they said, we want this too. And we're there, women have to sign up, and women are tested. And of course, we have the weight management program, which is something that is done for men as well as for women, just to make sure that by making weight, there's not too much taken out of the fighters. General achievements in women's boxing. We got 3 unified champions in women's boxing that are breaking records, everybody on their own. Cecilia Gregg, who's in the middle, will fight next week, come to that a little later. Katie Taylor, of course, and Clarissa Shields, all of them great and outstanding champions who really shine. We're very proud of them, as we are proud of all the fighters stepping into the ring for one of our titles. We got the major promoters involved in women's boxing, which was, of course, crucial and very important for us, and we're very happy and very proud to see Eddie Hearn and Matchroom very, very active. Very active in women's boxing now. Golden Boy, very active in women's boxing right now, and big promoters from all over the world promoting the sport. And that, of course, helps us to the final point here, that women headline big shows, which are broadcasted live on TV on all major platforms. We had Clarissa Shields headlining a fight live on Showtime. Cecilia Gregg, who's actually headlined the last show that was broadcasted on HBO. Now she's on DAZN. just like Katie Taylor. So women's boxing is definitely there and very present, and we're very proud of that, because these women definitely deserve to be shown, and they deserve all the attention and exposure that they can get. Now, because we are in the difficult situation 2020, I'm just going to go back a little bit to show you the numbers, the figures that we had in 2019. We had a total of 55 WBC championship bouts, 29 world championships, including interims, 15 silver and 11 internationals. And if you look internationally, you see that Mexico is still our strongest market, but the US is picking up, and the UK has been very strong in 2019 and even stronger this year. And then we have many, many different countries in which we have had 1 or 2 title fights. So it's a total of 18 countries that have hosted WBC title fights in 2019. And if we look at the development of the championships we had per year, the title fights, you see that 2016 was very strong, and then 17, 18 we were growing, in 19 we were growing, and the projected amount of fights that we would have had in 2020 would have been 58. That was projected by the first 3 months, which have been very, very good. We could have easily ended up by 60 fights for the whole year, but of course, then, as we know, we were stopped by the pandemic. Corona hit women's boxing just like it affected all parts of life. And you see one of the huge fights that had to be postponed was already scheduled for May 9th, Joseph Shields against Marie, undefeated world champions going for the undisputed championship at 154. Unfortunately, the fight couldn't take place, and now we're waiting for the new date. However, as I said, Corona may have been a setback, but it cannot stop us. It cannot stop women's boxing. And we see that if we look at the restart now after the pandemic, huge fights, and all the major stars of the division headlining big shows. We had a tremendous fight with Terry Harper and Natasha Jonas. You see that was originally scheduled for April 24th. Now it finally took place last week in the UK, and was a great, great fight. Everybody who hasn't seen it so far, go and check out the video. It was really a great, exciting fight, which ended in a draw. Then we have, of course, coming up, Cecilia Brækhus and Jessica McCaskill, champion versus champion. You also see there, the fight was originally scheduled to take place on April 17th, will now take place this upcoming weekend, and just shows you the quality of fights that we have right now. Not only the quantity, but also the quality has increased so much. So we got world champions going against each other. And then, of course, coming up August 22, big rematch. Katie Taylor defending her titles against Delphine Parsoon. It's a rematch that we had ordered actually after the first fight. And again, everybody who hasn't seen that first fight between these two women, go and check it out wherever you can find the video. It's really worth it. One of the greatest fights that I've seen. And I believe and expect that the rematch will be even better. They had some press conferences, like virtual conferences that we are holding now, and feel the tension between these two fighters. So that will be really a great rematch. So you see, women's boxing is really picking up right after the restart. We'll have great fights coming up. This is basically our action plan for the rest of 2020 and 2021. We got some interim champions, and we'll come to that a little later. And we want to eliminate the interim titles, meaning we will order fights between interim champions and world champions. We'll enforce the mandatory fights. We got some mandatory challengers waiting for that chance, and the fights had to be postponed. So that's what we will definitely do. Of course, as I said, we are working on the 4th Women's Convention. We had it planned for this year, but as we know, at the moment, traveling is a little complicated. We might do it in a similar way to this virtual convention, just learn from this, but we'll definitely work on that. In addition to that, and Jill, maybe you want to say something about that. We're working on a women's symposium, call to action. That's something which goes beyond boxing and covers all female athletes from all different kinds of sports. Jill, you want to say something about that?
Can you hear me through the mask?
I hear you.
Okay. We have so many problems in women's boxing, at least they're blamed on boxing, that are really cultural and are across the board for all women. So what we thought we would do is have a call to action symposium. We're going to invite Shia Sports, and we're going to invite Time's Up Now, all of which are deal with women's issues, women's athletes. We'll have medical staff there teaching conditioning, answering questions. We thought if we got together, heard the problems, maybe we can come up with some solutions, because it's not just a boxing problem. The boxing issue is made more complicated because we're global and we're freelance. The others are leagues, so they have more of an advantage in terms of negotiation and such. But bringing everyone together is always a good thing, and we always come up with ideas based on what the problems and the issues are. So it's very exciting, and I'm really looking forward to having this. And we don't know yet. It might be at UCLA. Willingly, we will be able to travel at that point. Otherwise, we will go virtual. Yeah. So that's basically it.
We're looking at something around March 2021, but we'll definitely keep everybody posted and informed and gather as much people as we can to get in there. So yeah, the other part, of course, we will keep on working on medical studies, on dehydration, on concussions. We still get lots of criticism and we get lots of questions. Well, why don't you allow women to fight 3-minute rounds? Of course they can. Why don't you allow women to fight 12 rounds instead of 10? It is just a basic fact that there are physiological differences between men and women, and we are very happy that we haven't had as much injuries and fatal injuries and tragedies in women's boxing as we had in men's boxing over the past years. And I believe the fact that we stand very firm by the 10-by-2 it plays a major role in this. And the health, the safety of the fighters is always our first top priority. There are fighters who always say, well, unless we cannot make the same money as men unless we're allowed to fight 3 minutes. And I always say, listen, boxers have never and will never be paid by the minute. If boxers were paid by the minute, Mike Tyson wouldn't have made a dime in his first 20 pro fights because they all ended in the first round. So it's not like boxers get paid by the minute or by time. They get paid for big performances, and that women are headlining big shows, and they don't need 3-minute rounds to do so. So it's really something where we believe we stand very firm by that. And unless there's medical evidence that it's safe and healthy and good to fight for a longer time, we will not change that rule. And I mean, everybody who's always shouting out for equality and saying we need equal playing fields, I always tell them, why don't we bring the men down to 10 rounds and 2-minute rounds? I mean, it's not like we have to increase the danger for women to get to an equal playing ground. And I really don't think that it's necessary in order to get higher purses. And I think that what we're seeing right now, those great fights that are broadcasted live and all the big TV networks jumping in, that really shows that we're on the right path and that we still will stay on the right path and really go there. So,
Malti, I just wanted to add that, in fact, we did bring the men down to 10 rounds in all of the regional titles.
That's true. That's true. So, yeah, we are working. We are always concerned about the security, about the fighters' health. That's the most important thing, you know. I mean, what is it all good for if we risk our lives in the ring? So we don't want to do that. Any questions? Of course, anybody out there can always contact us. We'll put all that information within the downloadable files, so you can contact me directly, contact Jill, Mo, Paulina. Of course, Kevin, I can put your information in there too. That's one of the parts in the action plan that I actually didn't put in here, but of course, one of the major goals for 2020 and 2021 is also to be more active in regions in which we haven't been that active recently. which is basically Africa. We've had some great African champions at the moment. We have now no world champion anymore from Africa, but we want to be more active in Africa. We want to be more active in Asia. Asia has always been a very strong market with our Japanese world champions, legendary champions. So Kevin, we hope that you will help us in Asia, and of course also Australia, the whole OPBF region. Very excited, and hopefully we can see some championship fights in that region. That is another goal which I should add here. So that's it for that first presentation. Oh, Mo is here. Mo, I like your haircut. How are you? You look good.
Doing well, Monty. Thank you. It's more a lack of a haircut.
It's a Corona haircut. I know what you're talking about. Now, as we're talking about hair, I don't see Kevin anymore. Is there a reason for that? Oh, Kevin suddenly transformed into Oksana. Wow.
Yes, nice transformation.
And Oksana, what I don't know if you were able to listen to everything I said. What I said about the regions we want to be more active in. Of course, Russia is one of the markets that we definitely need to be more active in. So we hope on your support and Russia and the whole CISPB region. There's so much talent, and we really want to go there, and we count on you guys to help us. And we're very happy that you're part of the team.
Yes, it's you're completely right. It's a great market for the women's boxing, and there are a lot of ladies who want to get titles, but sometimes we have a problem that there are no available titles. Everything is not vacant. That's
true. So what I would do now, if you all agree, we would just go through the divisions and really look at the championship status and look at, well, there's some divisions where we might have to enter into some discussions about what the mandatory situation should look like. As I said, anytime you have any questions, just interrupt me. Yeah? Just go ahead. If you want to add something, if you want to ask something, just yell at me. I'm used to that. Got a 3-year-old son, so. Oh, wait a second. I got this guy there. This is one.
Can you tell me about the importance of the clean boxing program?
Are you seeing which screen are you seeing now? Are you seeing now the ratings and mandatories?
We have to push this program.
Multi.
Yes.
I don't know if you're going to discuss it later, but we do want to emphasize the clean boxing program and the fact that Margaret Goodman today said in a talk that women are being more successful in registering even than the men. They're more enthusiastic, but we really need everyone to register.
Oh yeah, that's true. Very good point. We have to work on that and be in touch with all the fighters, managers, and promoters, and get women into the program. Of course, as I said, the women demanded to be part of the clean boxing program, and we're very happy that we were able to get this done and to get them in. So that plays a major role. Do you see the ratings now on the screen?
Not yet.
Not yet, Malte.
What? Well, wait a second.
Él va a compartir pantalla. You shared your screen?
Yes. Do I share it or not?
Yes, please.
But you don't see the slide saying ratings and mandatory defenses?
No,
Yeah,
It just came up.
What do you see? Oh yeah, you see
Ratings
the
and mandatory defenses.
okay. Good, very good. Then, well, heavyweight is pretty easy. We don't have a world champion, we don't have a silver champion, we don't have an international champion. So,
Malte, can you change the slide? You change the slides, please.
what do I change?
The slides.
The slides.
To which one?
Or
As you speak, change the slides accordingly.
yes.
I'm changing the slides. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. So now you see heavyweight, correct?
No.
No.
Oh, you
You
don't
see
see
ratings and mandatory. Yes.
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
okay. Okay. So you don't see the presentation, you only see the other mode, right? Okay.
No, we are seeing the presentation.
Yeah, but not the presentation mode. I mean, you're just seeing the. Well. Did you see the other presentation with all the slides or not?
No, not,
We don't see the slides,
not
Malte.
slideshow, Malte. It was just you
No
didn't have
slides.
a slideshow up.
Okay, so I was talking to you the whole time and you didn't see what I wanted to show you. Then I'm gonna show you. Well, we'll go through like this. Okay. So now you see heavyweight, correct?
Yes.
Okay, good. Then I might even want to show you the other one again, but no, it's all good.
I know it.
So as I said, in heavyweight division, we don't have a world champion, don't have a silver champion, don't have an international champion. Whoever out there has a fighter who's ready to compete at more than 168 pounds, we're happy for all ideas, offers. I know that's a very complicated division, that it always has been and always will be. We had a request actually from Trinidad, a fight that hasn't happened. Maybe we have the possibility to do something there. But anybody who has ideas, I mean, I believe Kevin will be pretty difficult to find somebody in Asia. But yeah, whoever has a request or has an idea, please come up and talk to us.
Malte, given the pandemic, I can fight at heavyweight for you.
Okay, maybe I should.
I'm afraid we deal.
Maybe I should be more precise and say not every idea is a good idea. Okay. Well, let's go to the super middleweight division. We had some controversy after the fight that Franchon Cruz had against Alejandro Jimenez. We reinstated Franchon Cruz as our world champion, and which was definitely the right call. So very proud of Franchon. I think she will be on the convention and will be in one of the talks regarding women's boxing. So a very, very great asset to the WBC, definitely. We see the ratings. Actually, Emma Cousin will be fighting at middleweight, so we may move her down to middleweight. Mo, if you can just note that. Then we can take Emma out and move her to middleweight because she will fight down there. So in the middleweight division, now middleweight and super welterweight, you'll see we have Clarissa Shields recognized as our world champion. Clarissa is the unified world middleweight champion. Now trying to unify belts at super welterweight too. Which will be actually historic. I think there hasn't been any unified world champion in two divisions at the same time. Nobody has achieved that so far. So Clarissa is on the verge of making history again. Of course, only if she can beat Marie-Eve Dicaire, which will be a very tough fight for her. That's the reason why at middleweight we have approved an interim championship. Emma Cousin will fight Chris Namus on September 5th here in Germany. And after the fight with Dicaire, if Shields wins the fight with Dicaire, after that fight she will have to decide which division she wants to stay and which title she wants to defend. In case Shields loses to Dicaire, the middleweight title will be vacant and the interim champion will be elevated to world champion status. So that is the situation right here. And also here at super welterweight, we already have the interim champion because it was not clear what Clarissa would do. That interim championship took place last year in Malta. So Patricia Bergholt is basically waiting for the result of the Shields and Dicaire fight. And then, as I said, we want to get rid of the interim titles. So we will quite soon see that we order fight if the winner of Shields vs. Dicaire stays at 154. Otherwise, if the title gets vacant, then we can elevate Patricia Bergholt to the full status, and then we can order the fight against the next contenders. Eva Piatkowska, former world champion, Hannah Gabriel, world champion of a different organization, Raquel Miller. So there's lots of talent in the division and lots of great fights coming up. Our world welterweight champion, record-breaking Cecilia Breckus, now defending against our world super lightweight champion Jessica McCaskill. As I said, a great fight, champion versus champion. So we will wait for that fight before anything else can come up in either division, and then see how we proceed from there. At super lightweight, we have Adriana Araujo from Brazil as our silver champion. We have Cheryl Brown as international champion. I think, I don't know, Mo, why do we have Katie Taylor listed as super light? Mo, are you with me?
I'll have to look into it to see.
Yeah, I think we should take
Why?
Katie Taylor out of the super lightweight rankings because she's our world lightweight champion, and just leave her there, and then everybody else can move up. Because Katie is right here, as I said, defending against Delphine Persoon in a rematch that we had ordered, and we'll wait for that fight before we see how we proceed in the division. Now, super featherweight is a division that we really have to discuss. Just gonna explain the whole situation, which is pretty complicated. Terry Harper, a world champion, just defended her title last weekend in a draw against Natasha Jonas. So Natasha Jonas should definitely enter the top 5. We do have an interim champion in Katarina Tanders. Her team, Team Sauerland, requested a world championship fight. Problem with that is that Tanders only won the interim championship on the condition that Elham Mekalet, who used to be our interim world champion, was confirmed as mandatory challenger, and the fight was ordered against the world champion. So Elham Mekalet, who's ranked on number 2, is actually the mandatory challenger. Tanders wants a world title shot. Michaela Meyer wants a world title shot. So we have lots of great fights coming up in this division, and we were discussing possibility of having a sort of tournament to really find the 2 champions. And Natasha Jonas now is in the mix, and then Eddie Hearn, on behalf of Matchroom, has requested a unification bout for Terry Harper against Eva Brodnicka, who's the WBO champion. So there's lots of great fights coming up, but we have to work this out, definitely. I mean, by the end of next year, we want, of course, Ella Mekalet needs to get her title shot, and Katarina Tanders also needs to get her title shot so we can get rid of that interim. And also Michaela Meyer, who had a great win recently, deserves a shot at the world title. Any thoughts, any ideas?
I think the obvious one would be where does Natasha Jonas go into the world rankings now after that incredible performance against Terry Harper?
Yes.
I think that should be the first order of business, really, right?
Yeah. And also I have to say, I mean, Eva Wallström was our former world champion. She lost in a pretty close fight to Harper. And I also have to say Maiva Hamadouche, who I've seen long before she became world champion in this division, is also a great talented fighter. And we all know Melissa Saint-Ville had a very close fight with Eva Wallström when she was still the world champion. So all the fighters that are in there, and then adding Natasha Jonas and adding Eva Brodnicka, they all make great fights and stand for great fights. So maybe we should work on a big tournament and talk to the promoters, talk to the teams to really solve this whole situation. Maybe order a different number of fights. And we had a couple of years ago, we had the big Diamond Belt tournament at Super Flyweight, I believe, Flyweight or Super Flyweight, and maybe we could do something similar here. I think there's lots of great fights in this division. It's a very hot division at the moment. Everybody agrees?
Yes, Martin.
Great. Featherweight. We got an interim champion here. We got, of course, our world champion, Jelena Mladenovic, great representative of the WBC. For many years, was one of our very first world champions, and still is. So, and we got the interim champion, Amanda Serrano. That fight had already been ordered, but we know that Jelena is in a very difficult situation because of COVID. Jill, can you tell us something about that?
Well, Jelena is in Canada where there is no boxing now. She can't really leave Canada without quarantine on both sides. On top of that, her trainer for her whole career has been in a coma for the last couple of months. So she's really struggling. And she's been our champion, I think, almost 15 years. I mean, so we try to do what is respectful during a pandemic for unusual circumstances for our fighters. First, they're human beings, then they're fighters.
Yes, we will definitely give her all the time she needs, her and her team, before that fight will be enforced. Of course, Mladenovic against Serrano, we know, will be a hell of a fight, a great fight. And I mean, we've been talking about this fight for a long time. I know that both fighters want the fight. They want it to happen. Of course, they want it to happen under the right conditions. But I'm sure that we will get it done ultimately once this whole difficult situation around Jelena's camp has been resolved. So we wish her all the best. Of course, we're there to support her as good as we can. And if there's anything we can do, Jelena, if you're listening to us now, just let us know. You know, we're very proud of you and everything you have achieved, everything you've done for us. And yeah, we're there in your corner in these difficult times, obviously. Some other great fighters in the rankings, so we might have elimination bouts for the next mandatory after the interim is done. I think there's lots of activity coming up at the featherweight too. Super bantamweight, Jamiles Mercado won the title against Fatuma Zarika. We have our silver champion, Fan Yin from China. Actually, Tatiana Srazevskaya, I think they requested a title shot. I will look into this. I don't know, Oksana, if you know them, but I think that they have a German team too. So I'll check on that. I think that they have requested to fight with me a couple of times.
Yes, they work with a German company, but they were planning to fight here in Russia. And the event is moved from the 15th of August to the 22nd of August in Kazan City.
Okay.
So fight here.
Know that she's a great talent, and we'll see if we can get something done there. And Kevin, if you can check on Fan Jin and her status, I think she won the title in Singapore, no?
She did. She won it in emphatic fashion in Singapore. She's an incredible talent. She is back to her hometown, and she's actually in college at the moment.
Okay.
So we've been talking to WBC China Executive Committee member Aku Zhang, and once she graduates from college at the end of this year, she's going to get very active in boxing again, hoping to build her in China. So
great.
We'll keep you updated.
Yes, definitely. Very exciting fighter. I've seen that fight where she won the title, and looking forward to everything that's coming up with her. Definitely. Okay. Bantamweight. What happened to the fight between Mariana Juarez and Jackie Nava? That was scheduled a couple of times. Does anybody know?
Yes, was suspended for the pandemic.
Okay.
But yes, I don't know if the promoters talks about a new date.
Okay, but that is definitely the fight that this division is going straight at, and I think it will be a huge event in Mexico once it happens, right?
Yes. It's a very important fight.
Yes, I believe so too. So we will wait for the promoters to inform us when and how it can proceed. Now, we see Mexico. Paulina, can you tell us a little bit about it, about Guadalupe Martinez, her plans, maybe fight against Sonia Osorio, it's possible or not?
I don't know. Sonia wants to fight with Lupita, but for the pandemic, all the fights was suspended.
Of course, yes.
So Lupita is training, but he has a fight.
Okay, so we'll look into this and give them the chance to come back after the pandemic, and then hopefully order the fight so we can eliminate that interim title too.
Sure.
Would certainly be a great fight too. Lupita against Sonia. And Hee Young-ju from South Korea. Kevin, do you know who she's with?
I will have an update for you on that within a week.
I look up when she won the title, at what show it was, but yeah, we'll look into that and see if we can give her a chance. Maybe we can have her fight against the silver champion and then eliminate her for the next mandatory or something. Maybe we can. We'll discuss that.
Okay.
So, Beth Zamora. Again, Paulina, it looks like you have to tell us a little bit about it, because I see lots of Mexico in the flyweight division.
Yvette Zamora has a fight to start the pandemic, so this fight was suspended and is waiting for a new date. But Lupita Bautista wants to Yvette Zamora, but I understand that Lourdes Juarez talk with the promoter Yvette or make this fight. So
okay. So we will wait for.
I can talk with the promoters and let me check.
Okay, excellent. I guess Paulina, you'll have to tell me about the next division too, because again, I see lots of Mexican champions. Now, this is a fight between Yesenia Gomez and Kenya Enriquez that we had ordered a couple of times, and it was always problematic with the promoters. Now, of course, we had the pandemic. We hope that we can get it done. And also, of course, Seneza Estrada is looking for her chance and shot at the world title. So we definitely need to get some activity back in this division once the whole activity can pick up again.
Malte Tania defends her title on September in Tijuana.
Oh yes, you're sending information. Yes, have to get out the sanction letter. That's great. And I know that Kenya has been requesting her world title shot for many years now, and she definitely deserves it. So we gotta make it happen one way or the other, sooner or later. Rather sooner than later, actually.
Sure.
So we will work on that, and then, as I said, also Seneza, to get her the title shot. We'll also work on that. Tina Ruprecht, our German world champion. She just split with her promoter, but she is in, I think right now she's on vacation, but basically after that ready to fight again because she can pick up training now. And maybe we can see an order fight against Katja Gutierrez. I don't see any problems with that.
No, I see no problem.
So have a fight between the world champion and the silver champion would be really good. And then at atomweight, Fabiana Butiki, I think she's fighting in September, I believe. We had ordered the fight with Lulu Horton, but for some reason, Horton's team didn't respond to all the letters and all the requests by Butiki's promoter. We'll try to make that fight happen. I'll talk to Horton's team so we can eliminate the interim title and finally get that fight done. It is definitely a fight that both fighters want, from what I understand. For some reason, it hasn't happened so far, but we'll try to make it happen either by the end of this year or early next year.
It's amazing, Malte, that Fabiana is fighting now, given that, didn't she have COVID at
Yes.
one point and she recovered fully? It's just a miracle, a wonderful miracle.
She was tested, she was positive. Luckily, it was one of those positive cases without symptoms, but yes, she's fully recovered, she's fully fine and ready to go again. Very lucky that she is. So, in all the divisions so far, because you couldn't see the other presentation earlier, I will show you all the slides. I just ran through there and thought that you could all see that, but I'm just
I would love to see your slides, Malte.
I will show you my slides now. I'm
Okay.
So, and then once we are done with that, let me see. Where do I have it? It's not that easy. That's my technical difficulties. I'm sorry.
Can I just say one thing about something that I realized is that, I mean, in fighting with the 2-minute rounds, the 3-minute rounds in popularity, which I fully feel is mostly a cultural thing in many countries. When you look at Mexico, where the women have been fighting 10 2-minute rounds, long before Clarissa and anyone in the United States headlined on Showtime, the women were fighting on television and as the main event and bringing in a very, very large share of the audience and viewership. So I just think that's an amazing thing, and we should take note of that. When you say there's so many Mexican champions, that's why.
Also, must not forget that we had parts of Europe, especially the Scandinavian countries, Sweden and Norway, where professional boxing was basically prohibited. It was forbidden. And only through women's boxing we could bring professional boxing back, because especially in Sweden, I remember,
Yes.
they had a rule that they said, okay, 20 minutes of total fighting would be fine. So men couldn't fight, but women could fight. And then they had women's champions, and then they opened it up. They opened up the market for men too after that. And we know that Norway, Cecilia, I mean, she has sold so many pay-per-views back in Norway. So she has been a major star over there. And as you say, there's so many regions and parts of the world where women's boxing has worked on the 10x2. And it has, I mean, we see that we have those big main event fights, and that is what I want to show you in this presentation. So those were the pictures from the women's conventions, our champions, the promoters that are involved, the number of fights. We'll put all this information in the downloadable files so everybody can have it. So if you look at these, just look at the lineup of these fights, and you see that they're all on major TV, on major platforms, and they're all the main events. Who needs more than 2 minutes? I mean, you know, if we can have these main events, we don't need anything else. That's my honest opinion. They're just huge stars, and they get the exposure and the attention that they all deserve. So, yeah, that was basically the presentation that you couldn't see earlier. Now you can check it out when we put it in the downloadable sites, and also get our contact details. Any specific questions, any needs, anything you want to share, ideas, thoughts? Go ahead. Now is your time.
Well,
In response to the question about Katie Taylor being in the wrong in the super lightweight, I'll chalk that up to a typo that should have been caught in the review process, which also want to highlight just an invitation to the boxing community overall, that this is the ratings process is not just exclusive to the ratings committee, but it's a reflection of the overall state of women's boxing, and is a part of the community. So it's open to all input, to updates, to information. So everyone is welcome to look through it, and anytime there's something that stands out, or if a fighter looks to campaign in a different weight class, or anything that needs to be communicated, it's wide open. The doors are wide open, and we encourage it, and we look forward to input from the community. So as Malte, you put up the contact information for the entire committee. I invite everyone in the community to just reach out with any input that you have, any thoughts that you have. Go through the ratings, ask questions, give suggestions, and as always, please give us updates on your fighters, or to the fighters themselves, give us updates on where you're at in your career, what your plans are, where you're campaigning, anything like that, because at the end of the day, we want it to be a true reflection of women's boxing for that particular month. And so it's best accomplished when everyone is involved. And so for that reason, we welcome and open the door for everyone to be involved.
Yeah, and I have to say, Mo, you're doing an outstanding job in putting this together and keeping the ratings together, gathering all the information. So thank you for everything you're doing. Thank everybody, the whole committee, also the people who are not here right now. Of course, our great medical help, William Voodoo, who's putting together all this, all the medical information and keeping track. Everybody in the committee is doing such a great job. So thank you all, and my compliments to all of you. Thank you.
Malte, I don't know if it was in your presentation, but we should also say that this year we have changed the women's belt once again, and it will just say champion. It's now a non-gender belt.
Yes, that's true. They are world champions, and yeah. Well, I mean, if we have nothing to add, any questions from the outside? Paulina, did you receive any questions?
No, Malte.
Okay. Well, I mean, you know, given the different time zones for Kevin has to get up in 2 hours, I believe, in 1 hour to take care of his kids. So I thank you all for your time being here with us. And as Mo said, we are open to input from the whole boxing world, from the whole boxing community. So come reach out to us. All the contact information will be downloadable. We are very accessible. We need your input. We need your help to get these great fighters that we have, not only our world champions, not only our champions, all the contenders, every woman who steps into a ring, to give them the attention and the exposure that they deserve. So that's what we're here for, help these fighters, and we can only do that with the help of everybody.
Thank you, Malte.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time,
Thank you, Malte.
and we see you in the next couple of days. Close the session here. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone. Stay safe. Stay.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, 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 bye.
Thank you, Paulina.
Gracias. Hola.